This is our garden, which has been neglected and overgrown over the years. My name is Orion, this is Jess and Benji, and Lilia has just turned 11 weeks old. As a family, we have never had a garden, and we are super excited to restore and bring it back to its former glory. And if you hadn't guessed already, we've never done this before. So if you want to follow along as we transform this garden, and make sure you hit subscribe to watch new videos every single Wednesday and Sunday as we embark on a brand new journey. As excited as I am to start working outside on the garden, unfortunately this house is going to get knocked down, which is an awful shame because I actually think this building is beautiful. However, not all is lost, as there is a very small percentage chance that it's too pretty to demolish. And whilst it might not look like it right now, today's video I am going to walk and talk about all the things that we can do to restore the garden. However, before we get into it, today's video is sponsored by Reolink, and they have sent me their home hub to level up my home security. And not only that, but they actually sent me the Duo floodlight with Wi-Fi as well, which, let me tell you, is actually amazing. You would not believe how far that thing can see. I mean, just look at the field of view I actually get with this camera. It also completely solved my problem for delivery drivers not being able to find my house, because it can detect them on the drive and it lights up like a beacon in the dark. It's genuinely saved so many problems, to the point where I can even look back if I missed one thanks to its internal storage. However, this isn't the only camera I own. We also have this internal camera so we can keep it on the kids, and this absolute beast to help with security down on the farm. And now, thanks to the Home Hub, I can store all of my footage internally on here. No more worrying about the cloud or uploading and causing me lag when I'm playing video games. Completely subscription free, I just put my SD cards in the back, set it up in the app, which is ridiculously easy, connected to my Wi-Fi, and we're done. But it doesn't end there. The battery life on my cameras is now extended because it works directly with the Home Hub, and it also works with Home Assistance. I mean, look, show me the back garden.
All right, streaming back garden on living room display.
How good is that? I've been messing around with like smart light switches, smart floodlights, but now I can actually just tell my assistants at home to turn the floodlight on my camera, and done. So again, a big thank you to Reolink for sponsoring this video. If you want to create your own personalized security system with Reolink and experience a whole new level of security, then make sure you check the link in the description below and get yours today. You can even scan the QR code that you can see on screen. Now you might be wondering, why on earth are you knocking this house down? And to be completely honest, I don't know, but the landlady is currently renovating her house, and my assumption is she doesn't really want any neighbours, which is totally understandable. You have a house and all this land, you kind of just want it to yourself, and you don't really want someone living on your doorstep. However, our optimism comes from the fact that this house isn't connected to the main one. We are quite literally living in the middle of the field away from everybody else. So potentially, if we make this look nice enough, she won't knock it down, but she seems to be pretty set that in 2 to 3 years time, she's going to completely knock this house down, and we need to move out. However, in the interim, we want to make this house nice to live in and experience it for ourselves. After all, our family has never had a garden before, as we have spent the last 5+ years living in a flat. So doing gardening and renovating a house is something that I have never done before, and I would like to do it whilst I have the chance to do it. One of the great things, or the silver linings, if you will, of being here for 2 years before it gets knocked down is that I can kind of play around and do what I like without any concern of breaking or damaging something, or, you know, ruining a flower bed, quote unquote, because it's going to get demolished anyway. At least that's my thought process. However, I don't want to do things by halves. I would like it to look nice. It's a beautiful house, and I think with a little bit of work, it can be even prettier. I mean, you can't really see it, but there is a stone pathway that leads all the way to the front door, which we never use. And this beautiful stone flower bed at the front of the house, which is just completely overgrown. One of the main things we actually need to do is completely gut this area out, find flowers and plants that are in here that could be restored and brought back to life and replanted once it's all cleared. Because, yeah, right now, I don't know what this is. I would love to find out, but there is like this incredibly spiky, it's not even like a thorn bush, it's just really spiky that it will puncture your tire if you drive over it, which we found out firsthand when we moved in. As you can see, these bushes growing here. We drove the van up to the front door so we could move everything in, and drove over it, punctured a tire, and well, you know the rest. We had to get the tires replaced, and it's not great. So I think these bushes have to go. They're just aggressively in the way, and I don't know what they are. I would be interested to know what they look like in spring or summer when it's all bloomed, if it does. Otherwise, I think it's just a nuisance. But behind all this overgrowth, there are some absolutely beautiful flowers growing. So I'm not just going to come through here with my shovel and fork and just completely rip it out. I would like to take what plants are there and replant them elsewhere. And then hopefully we can get a nice flower bed here, get this hedge line all kind of trimmed up and even maybe removed. That way the front of the house is presentable and doesn't look overgrown and abandoned. Then of course we could do with reclaiming our path and potentially putting some like lights or lamps down here. As even though you saw the camera, it kind of lights up as a beacon in the dark, it's still very difficult for delivery drivers to see where they're going when they come here. The Tesco guy is not very happy when he tries to drag all the shopping up here. So a few lights lining up the pathway would be nice, as well as a gate. I have heard stories of sheep that come onto this field and make their way to your window. So we could do with some gates and fencing to be restored, because right now they're falling down. But moving on to our back garden, once we've got a gate on there, I would love to restore this lawn and reclaim this path as well. But this is the oil tank, and oh boy, is it an eyesore. I want to say it's sunken into the ground a bit. It just looks awful. I don't even necessarily want to paint it. What I'm thinking would be better is if we actually build like a wooden fence around it with a lid that we can actually access the oil tank when we need to top it up and stuff like that. But just tidy it up, because it's the first thing you see when you walk to the house, because we use the back door mainly. And it's ugly. And then it's just a case of tidying things up, really, like removing a lot of this rubbish, especially here under the lean-to. This needs to be restored, as it is old and it leaks all over the place, and this is a really good spot for me to be doing woodwork and DIY because it's sheltered, albeit very windy. I wouldn't mind like a roll down like wind guard there, just to stop the wind coming through, because the sawdust just goes everywhere and it's incredibly cold. Granted, it is like 0 degrees today, but still a little bit more enclosed would be nice. Speaking of wood, this is our old wood store, and I think we want to build a new one right here. Currently my tent box is leaning against the wall, but now that we've got some new roof bars on the car, we are going to be looking at putting the tent box back on the car so we can go camping and exploring the country again. And we really need a dry store for our wood. In the paddock beneath all of this overgrowth, there is actually a sack here full of logs. However, they are completely sodden and they need to be dried and seasoned, and I don't even know how usable it is. But yeah, right now, it's not good. We have nowhere to store the wood, and because we have an open fire, which we use every day, it would be nice to have somewhere where we can access and store our wood over the season. I think it takes 4 to 6 months to dry wood. I could be completely wrong with that. If I am, I'm sure I'll put something on screen to correct me. But yeah, we definitely need a wood store. The only other thing that we want to do with the garden is have a barbecue area with a nice seating spot. And I think after we restore the lawn, seating right there with maybe a fire pit or something like that, which would be amazing. I would love that. And then like a barbecue near the kitchen window, because then we can access, like, pass through the window and stuff like that. Makes a lot of sense. Jess would love a barbecue, and this is a sun trap all day long. Moving into the paddock, this is where the fun begins. Fencing restoration aside, we really want to make our own little allotment and a mud kitchen for the kids to play in, because we are strong believers in like kids growing up outside and playing outside and doing things outdoorsy, which is why we go for walks a lot with our family, and Benjamin can walk. You would not believe how far that kid can walk. He's literally never used a pram or a pushchair or anything like that. He's walked everywhere. And we grew up outside, playing outside and building dens and doing all that kind of fun stuff. And I would love my kids to have the same experience, which is why we took this opportunity whilst we could. Benjamin turned 5 and we've been living in a flat for years. And when I started this channel, we did actually rent an allotment and we started giving it a go, but we got caught up with so many other things. Whereas now we have it on our doorstep. So because we have the space in the paddock, I think we are going to make an allotment. Where I'm going to do that, I don't really know right now. One thing is for sure, I would love to make kind of like a temporary driveway here. However, I don't intend on going crazy and getting mini diggers and stuff like that and laying down gravel and hardcore and all this kind of stuff, because it needs to be temporary. A lot of the things that we do here, we kind of need to keep in mind of, one, it might get demolished and completely ripped up anyway. And two, if we can take it with us to the next place, then that would be perfect. And if I start ripping up the floor, laying down hardcore, I'm going to make it a lot more difficult or a lot harder for my landlady to come in and clear all this out. I don't want to be a nuisance. All I want to do is freshen up and make this a nice place. And we like to drive and park down here. It makes life with a pushchair and a kid and a car seat and all that kind of stuff a lot easier when we're this close to the house, because walking up the muddy pass to get up to the car is a bit challenging when you're carrying a baby in one arm and maybe shopping in the other and stuff like that. So if we can kind of make this a bit better for a car to be on, that would be great, because we've been caught down here when it's rained heavily, and that's why the ground looks awful. I also just noticed a calf has escaped again. A few days ago, I was actually up here kind of looking at another calf that had also escaped. They keep getting out of their barns. So I should probably drop my landlady a quick text to let her know that there is a calf just roaming around. But yeah, as you can see, it's not the greatest terrain to be walking up to the car. Anyways, moving back into the paddock, it is seen better days. I have burnt a lot of the scrap wood that I brought back from the flat. And I didn't quite realize when I burnt it that the paint would kind of stay around and spread throughout the garden or the paddock. So this is going to need a lot of work doing to it to restore it. Yeah, I've kind of ruined it a little bit. From overgrowth to burnt ground to a complete mud bath. I have most definitely got my work cut out for me. As I mentioned, I've never done this before. I have no idea how to restore a lawn, or where plants should go and what you should do to plant things, how to begin an allotment, all these things. But fortunately, in my family, I have landscapers. My aunt and uncle have been running a landscaping business for so many years, from completely renovating gardens to selling their own plants and growing trees, and they've got their own plot of land as well where they do a lot of stuff, and they are going to be helping me every single step of the way. Don't get me wrong, I'll be doing a lot of the labor myself and sharing everything that I learn with you guys, because there are so many people out there that have gardens that they just don't know what to do with, or where plants should go, or because of the sun coming in a certain direction, should a plant go here, what plants go together. This plant that I put down, I just bought from a garden center, isn't growing, and I don't know why. And all these little things, they're going to help me along the way and help figure out first where things should go and plan out properly, rather than me just gutting it all out and just plopping some plants in. But as this weather slowly starts to get better, I cannot wait to restore this garden. I absolutely love being outside. It is my calling, and I feel like I've got cabin fever being stuck inside the house doing renovation and DIY, which, don't get me wrong, I have thoroughly enjoyed, but I am looking forward to having a bit of balance of being able to do the garden as well as inside and working down on the farm. We've just been waiting for the seasons to change and the weather to get a bit better, because it's just so cold right now. I was going to clear out the garden in a previous vlog a few weeks back, but when I walked outside, it was frozen over and I couldn't do anything. So now that it's starting to get a bit better, we are starting to enter into spring. Now is the perfect time to plan and think about what we want to do with the garden, so we are prepared for the seasons upcoming. One thing I'm actually really looking forward to is starting my subscriber garden, because over on my Patreon, I have got a subscription tier where you can essentially subscribe for me to plant a plant with your name and stuff like that. And I'm gonna have a nice little bedded garden where all of the people over at Patreon have subscribed and I have planted on their behalf. It's kind of like support to plant a tree, except for it'll be flowers and stuff like that, maybe something in the allotment. Maybe I'll do actual requests of something that you guys would want me to plant, then I'm going to do that. So a big thank you to all the people who support me over on Patreon. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to create the kind of content I do, so thank you again. But while I wait for the weather to get better, I'm going to wrap up today's video and hide indoors and warm up, because on my days it is chilly outside. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave it a thumbs up rating if you're looking forward to watching me embark on a new journey of doing gardening, something that I'm a bit apprehensive about, but I'm sure it's going to be super fun. There's going to be lots to learn. And if you are new to my channel and you want to hit subscribe to follow along, I'd really appreciate it. But as always, guys, been Orion. Thank you so much for watching. Peace, much love. Bye-bye. Together, we plan on So if you want to follow along with us, and a bit. So a few lights things up as the gap back. Fencing rest. I don't think I'm gonna from one of the. Thank you very much.